The big news, as you all know, is that unemployment hit two-decade low. We came in at 3.9%, very, very low here, and a tighter and tighter labor market. Well, what do you think? As a lot of you know, who's been following what I put on, I analyze this by employment to population of specific age and gender cells. And I look at the overall capacity of the number of workers to keep growing. And I'm not going to show you my usual way of looking at this. I'll simply say that on an age-adjusted basis, we're back up to about 97% of where we were from 2010 back up to where we were in 2007, which economists will tell you was the peak year of the last economic recovery. Historically, the employment to population ratio at each subsequent recovery since World War II has been slightly below the previous one. That is to say, employment to population ratios over time, adjusted for the business cycle, have been gradually cycling down. So I would say the very best we could hope for is employment to population ratios back to where we were at 2007. And here's an interesting way of sort of summing up the data. And take a look at this. I think you'll find this interesting. As you can see, and take a look at men first. For men, from this on, and I'm just going to sort of circle this, but this whole thing I'm circling in red here, that is either at or above, and when I say at, I mean it's 0.4, 0.8. It's very close to where it was in 2007, and among the older people, it's considerably above where it was in 2007. So the only place where we're still looking at substantial reserves, I guess Marx would say the reserves of the unemployed, the reserves of those who are not employed yet, would be among young male millennials. And you can see that's about 2.3% below where it was in 2007. They've recovered about 70% from where they were in 2010. And obviously teens and very young adults who are even further below where they were. And then you see among women, we even have less slack left over. There's basically the only, above age 25, the only slack left among women, that is to say relative to 2007, is very interesting. It's among 45 to 54-year-olds. These are sort of early wave Gen Xer women. And I think my analysis, and I've been looking at the BLS data and also looking at CPS data, census data, kind of get underneath this. I think the main reason is that the biggest decline we've seen in female labor force participation is married women with kids who are actually participating less. Single women who don't have kids, or women who have kids who are also single, show no decline in labor force participation. So I'm wondering whether this trend here in the 45 to 54 is still capable of rising much more. If I'm right about this tendency of married women with kids to be lower than it used to be. I mean, all these Gen Xers are spending a lot more time with their kids, and sort of prioritizing time with their kids a lot more. We may not see much more. The two places where you might see more obviously are 16 to 24, and you can see how much of total employment they represent. Males, females each represent about 6.1, 6.3% of all workers. The problem here is you got three things happening. First of all, retail Armageddon. Most of these young people are employed in retail, and retail's not, they're just not hiring anyone right now. The other is minimum wage laws, okay? Inevitably, you're going to find some of these people, particularly teenagers, priced out of the market, particularly in localities and cities that don't make any special provision for teenagers. And finally, you have young people who are spending more time in college, spending more time in various educational institutions, and of course, they are unavailable to the workforce as well. So we may not get a total recovery there.